This is Ryan, who is currently airbrushing some sock masks all black as a base coat for dry brushing. Here's another one that is getting ready to go. And there's a third one. Hold up the airbrush real quick. We are just using a single action airbrush from Harbor Freight. It costs a whopping $7, and I love me some Harbor Freight. So continue blacking out, and we'll get on the next step when it comes. Okay, so I am about to paint a sock mask that I pulled out. It's on a head form, which is on coffee tub, which I use a lot of. And for this one, I'm just using acrylics, which hold on pretty good, but they don't flex. House paint would be better, because that is meant to flex and expand with your house. So it'll hold up a lot better. But if you protect the acrylic paint job with Armor All, a coat of regular old-fashioned Armor All, that'll do wonders to protect it and seal it in and keep the paint on. So I'm using a dry brush technique, putting my brush in some paint, getting most of it off until it's kind of speckled, and that way I know I'm only going to hit the raised areas. And this way I can paint the mask, but I'll still have this black base coat in the deep recesses. I tend to use brighter colors than most people would while they are painting masks and monsters, but that is because I strictly do things for haunted houses. I'm not trying to sell this in the bright light of a trade show, so those paint jobs are often too subtle by the time they get into a house, and they're kind of washed out. This will show up in the lighting of the set that he's going to be in. I'm not saying it's bad to do a great paint job, I'm just saying it's overkill for the haunt environment most of the time. Quickly putting on a nice green base coat. The main way dry brush is done is I will let this dry, and then I will put on a second layer, even lighter, that is this same color with a bit of white added, to raise the highlights even more. So now I have dark recesses, and I have green depth, and I will have lighter. I put some green acrylic paint down there. I'm putting in some white to make a light green, and I will mix the two, not terribly scientifically, to get a good yuck green as another color to go on this mask. I'm going to dry brush it so I'm getting most of the paint off of the brush. So as I touch, it's putting very little paint on. But what it's doing is it's hitting all of the high spots on the skull and not going into the low spots where the green is, the darker green, and where the black is in the even deeper spots. Dry brushing reads very well in the haunt environment. I just want to put enough on the collar to blend it in. And I have that stretched out over a coffee can so I can get almost all of it. Now I'm going with even more white. I'm not going to consciously mix in any green, but I'm mixing it on the green, and I'm mixing it with the brush that I just did all that green with. And it's really a mint now. Move to a clean spotted table to get most of the paint off of the brush. I use the term clean lightly. And now it's very light. And I just want to hit the real raised areas, like the eyebrow ridge, the nose, cheekbones, jaw, chin, and the zygotic arch here of the skull. I'm using the color to kind of feather that out and blend that in a little bit better than even the sculpt did. And there are 3 colors on that now, but it's got a nice depth paint job on it. And let me improve the lighting in here a little bit, so that'll read a little better. Next I will paint in the teeth, and I will put an accent color under the eyes, and I will get to that in just a minute. I have some dry brushing on some other masks to get to first. Okay, right now different Alan, is using white with a bit of yellow in it to do the teeth. Pure white is a bit too stark, and it won't, it reads too well. I mean, you can just pick it out a mile away. If you tone the white down just a little bit with a touch of yellow or a touch of brown, then it just reads better and looks more natural on the mask. I don't think that zombies have perfect dental hygiene. They probably don't have the cleanest teeth in the world. This is the second one that he is doing. Over here is the first one that he did. And this is stage 1 of painting the teeth in. They just have that teeth base color. We're going to go in, we're going to add tartar along the bottom of the gum lines and on the tops of the top teeth, where tartar would be. So, be ready for the next stage. Okay, putting the tartar on, I just have kind of a flesh tone, a very light brown. I'm knocking a little bit off, but it's not a dry brush that I'm doing, I'm actually painting. And I want to follow the curve of the tooth underneath, but just do that very bottom or very top edge, depending upon if it's top or bottom. Okay, and I'm just going to go around the skull, because when he eats stuff, that's where tartar builds up. All the way around. I'm going to go ahead and let Alan fill in the rest of that and do the other head, and I will, as a finish, last stage of this paint job, I'm putting a little bit of purple. I've spot a table so I don't have too much on the brush. I want it to be almost a dry brush under the eye. So I want to highlight that under the eye and put a bit of purple there. And that's very subtle. I'll do it inside the nose as well. It's subtle, but it's one more color on there. And I'm going to give him the hint of where gums used to be just by doing a dry brush with this purple along the tooth line. Corners of the eye, side of the eye, and that area underneath. Because all the teeth are painted exactly the same, they all pop at the same level. So to bring the front teeth to the forefront, I'm going to darken up the molars a little bit and up to the bicuspid with a little bit of purple. So now that side, it gives a little more depth because these are closer to you and brighter than the ones that are a little further away. I'm going to do the same on the other side. And now I get a bit more of a 3D mouth going on. Well, it was very flat and two-dimensional before. That one does not have that, and you can kind of see the difference when I pop back and forth. So, busy, 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 making masks. There you go.